Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Friday, March the 27th, the year 2020. Let's talk trading. The WalMal method, day 22. And once again, we've got WalMal on the line.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well and you have a good, profitable day.
Yeah, and hopefully, this is actually, probably should have put weekly wrap up on the, since this is Friday. But remember, boys and girls and non-binary traders, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and WalMal's. Trading is extremely risky. You can lose all of your money. If you need trading, investment, or financial advice, seek the advice of an accredited financial professional. And when you're trading, remember, money and risk management. Do not lose more in any one particular trade than you are willing to lose, and that is your risk. Okay, WalMal, tell the traders out there what you had mentioned about. You said I had done something about 5 or 6 years ago. It stuck with you.
Yeah, about 5, 6 years ago, you talked about this, and I think you talked about this on a number of different videos. But you talked about knowing yourself, and I think that's probably the most important thing about trading is knowing who you are. As I would say about know me, and I, and all those lovely pronouns that describe who I am. And the reason is because only I know truly what my ability is to accept the fact that there may be losses, or accept the ability, or have the ability to accept the wins and know when to get in and get out of those trades based on where I'm at. If you don't know those things, how do you know, or not even how do you know, but how are you going to deal with when things don't go your way? Are you going to jump out too early? Are you going to jump out too soon? And if I'll just go and relate to myself in the sense that, it's funny, I don't like the markets. I know TRO loves the markets right now with it going up and down real quick. I don't like it. It drives me nuts, which sounds kind of funny because I've chosen to go into a scalping method, which means you're only getting in and getting 2, 3, 4, 5 pips and getting out. And maybe sometimes you get a winner of 10 or 20 even. But I know myself, I don't want to be sitting there under that pressure all the time of, okay, I've been up 3, 4, 5, and now I'm down 10 waiting for it. So I needed to find a method that suited me. I needed to find something that worked out for me. And sometimes you have to go and deal with some things in your life that are difficult.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I think at the time, I'd probably been talking about one of Robert Ringer's books. He's one of my favorite authors. And he talks about honest evaluation of self. You look in the mirror and you just have to give yourself an honest evaluation. Like sometimes people accuse me of having an inflated ego and being, what was the word? Somebody said that I wasn't, fun to deal with or something. But they don't understand. They think, well, you think you're always right. Well, that's usually because when I speak, I've got the facts, the evidence, the logical conclusion and reasoning. I've got things on my side and I state it. And not only do I state what I'm thinking, I have the stuff to back it up. Whereas most people, they'll say something like, well, it's the law. It's like, no, you say it's the law. Now you show me the law. And that's where they think I'm difficult. Oh, well, you don't trust. No, I don't trust. No, you have to prove your point. I mean, I took every logic course that the University of Maryland offered. That's something my father told me to do. He says, take logic. That was probably the best one of the best pieces of advice he ever gave me. Because that way it helps me see through a lot of the BS. And that's like with trading, that's why I go through all the pain of coming up with the statistical indicators so that prove it. Some people run back tests, but to me, the only time you run a back test is to test your code to make sure it gets in when it's supposed to and gets out when it's supposed to. And that's it. In other words, there's no problems with the code. But as far as coming up with the method, No, you need something that shows you the statistics, because I don't care what the back test says. I want to know how many times I get an opportunity to make money, whether it's 1 pip or 100 pips. But because if the opportunity doesn't exist, then I can't make money. And that's why things like the buy zone and the way WalMal adapted it proves to be profitable, because we're looking at, we set up right here a 10 pip range. On my chart it just opened between 22.40 and 50, and if you took that first trade right now you'd already be up about 10 pips that quick. And you can see this isn't live, this isn't some back test, this is no curve fitting, but we see that we've got the price right here. It's bracketed. There's 10 pips between here and here. We look at the ranges. The last 4 hours, the minimum range was 61. There's no way this hour can range 61 and stay between 40 and 50. So it's such a simple thing. And I know if WalMal, if he was trading the GU right now, he'd probably already be out.
Yeah, I would be out right now because, I look at and say, you know what? I know it's trading 60, but I don't know which direction it's going to go. I got 10. Hey, take my money off the table.
Yeah, and what's your and you have a 10 pip goal for the day. You could be done for the day just like that.
That's exactly right, and that's the thing, and I think that part of it, this whole idea of knowing yourself. There was a famous baseball player by the name of Bob Uecker, and the great thing about him was he was a catcher, but he wasn't very good. He was only a 250 hitter. He was a 250 hitter, but the great thing about Bob Uecker was he was so average, but he was extremely successful, because the thing is he kept at it, and he knew himself, he knew his weaknesses, and he just went on knowing those weaknesses. And that's what we have to do in trading. Know who you are, know what your problems are, and know how to go forward with those challenges that you have in your life. Some people have challenges with fear. Some people have challenges with being very, very excitable. Well, if you know you got problems with fear, what's causing those problems with fear? What's causing you to be fearful of things? And put things in place that stop you from being fearful. I was talking to TRO earlier today, and I was saying, there was a point today when I was in a trade and I was down, and I was glued to that screen. I was down pretty significantly based on my method, and my blood pressure was probably up, but I wasn't, fearful, because I had stops in place. I knew how much I was going to lose, and because of that, I was within my fear levels, and therefore I wasn't fearful. Yes, my blood pressure was up. Why? Because it wasn't going my direction. I was upset that it wasn't going my direction, not because I was fearful that I was going to lose. And unfortunately, if you let fear get a hold of you, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and while you were talking, price just reversed about 17 pips. It's back into the between the 40 and 50 level.
Which means there's going to be another opportunity at some point, sometime in the next, because we're only 40 minutes into the hour.
Yeah, so, and the point being is, if you didn't take those pips off the table, the market just took them back and put you in the hole. And that's why you take what you can and give none back.
You walk away. Kenny Rogers went and passed away this week, and what was his famous song, The Gambler,
Yeah.
Know when to go and walk away.
Yeah, but I think since we've been talking this month, WalMal, I think I might have turned you into an addict, because how many times have you said you're done and then you get back in?
Yeah, unfortunately, you've been a bad influence.
In fact, you had said earlier that you learned something from me, and I told you, do not do that. Tell them what you did.
Well, what happened was I was down on a trade, and what I did was I averaged in. And that's not part of my trading plan. It turned out to work out really well for me, but what I did was I had gone short at a particular line, and it turned and went against me, and I was in a very, very small level because I have all my pips for the week, and so what it is, I moved my stop up and out of the way, and then what I did is based on waiting for a signal to go short again, I went short again, and then that's not who I am. And I was telling TRO earlier, this type of thing where I'm glad that it worked for me. But the reality is, if I had to do that on a regular basis, I'd probably have an ulcer at the end of the month. I can't do that on a regular basis. I did it this time because I saw the opportunity to go and do it. I watched the chart, saw what was happening, and said, this is a good place to go and do this. So I did it. Should have I done it? Probably not, because I broke my plan.
Yeah, and right now, if you had taken that long trade at 50, you'd be up 5 pips. And so hopefully, traders, if you're watching this video, you just saw right here, there was an opportunity to make money short, an opportunity to make money long, because as WalMal just said earlier, you were up about 10 pips. The range, I think, was 13 at the time. And you can see, once again, the minimum range was 61. It gave you an opportunity to take 10 pips or more, or at least 5. You took it. Same thing here. It gave you an opportunity to take 5. Take it, because look what's happening. You don't know what's going to happen next. So you just take it while you can. And sure, maybe right now it doesn't give you an opportunity to get back in this trade and it runs up 40 pips. And you said, oh, I could have had. Well, the thing is, you don't remember those times when you didn't get, where you got out for 5 pips and then it reversed on you for 100. You don't remember those. You remember you made 5 pips and then it took off for 100. And I think I talked about that sometime in the last year or so. And those are the trades, those FOMOs, that will kill you. Oh, but WalMal, you got to tell the boys and girls at your college story real quick. We got about 3 minutes left.
So when I was in college, I played ball in college, baseball in college, and I played shortstop. And I was okay. I wasn't great or anything like that, but I was okay. And I was there for 3 years. And then on my 4th year, my senior year, your year of glory, guess what happens? A fellow by the name of Sean Dunston shows up, and he comes in as a freshman. I go in, and I'm still there as a senior, and I get kicked off of my spot, and I get thrown into playing second base. Nothing wrong playing second base, but you know what? Short was my spot. And, I had a successful year that year, but if I had allowed that, potentially, some people look at that as something that was debilitating and, would wipe your spirit out, as opposed to looking at it from the perspective of, hey, you know what? This is a good thing, because now we got a great ball player on this team and we can go someplace with this.
But tell them what happened to that shortstop later in life.
Well, later in life, he played for the Cubs for many years, and he actually made it into the Hall of Fame. So, so I guess he was a little bit better than me by far. I mean, I was barely being able to play college ball, and he was a Hall of Famer. So, know who you are. Know who you are. I mean, it's the type of thing. If I didn't know who I was and how good I was or wasn't, I would have had the wrong attitude.
Yeah, and and that's kind of what goes with trading. That's why, I tell WalMal, don't learn my bad habits. I told him this and others this. If what you're doing is successful, you're making money, don't change a thing just because you stumbled across, my indicators or my methods. If you're making money, don't change a thing. I don't care if you're using squiggly lines. And I can't say that enough. If you're making money, don't change a thing. And WalMal and I talked about, well, when do you change? And I say, well, and I've stated this before, sometimes you make minor adjustments. So for example, if you're making $1,000 a week and now you're only making $800 a week, that could just be the way the market is. And if you need to go back to 1,000, maybe you just up your trade size, because you're still winning. If your winning percent's the same, but the number of pips you're bagging isn't, that's market conditions. But if you go from making 1,000 a week to losing 100 a week, and you do that a couple weeks in a row, then that's the time when you got to go, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. I need to stop and reevaluate what I'm doing. And you know something, Walter? I swear, whenever we do these, this is like the fastest 15 minutes ever. And here we go again, price moving up. So, boys and girls and non-binary traders, I hope everybody had a profitable week. And just remember, over the weekend, Um, and when you come back to the screen, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So drain the banks.